So before going to use that, first thing is it should be run, as we all know that Talend will run on Java environment. So what we need to do is we need to set the environment variables for this. So once you install the Java, right? So what you need to do is you need to give the path of that particular Java variable here. You can give here, here it is. Java, where you install, which version you install. I mean, with the 1.8 version, you might be Java will just release few kind of patches for that. It could be the last 201 will deny the patch of that particular 1.8 version. So you can have anything of that patch, but it should be a 1.8 minimum for this 7 plus run 7 plus Java Talend to be run in your system. You should have this minimum configuration is 8 version. Java 8 1.8 should be installed, right? So after installing the Java, you need to just copy that particular environment, like the path of that particular Java from your system to here. uh, till when you can copy, and then you have to paste. See, if you just look into that Java, right? Java and Java C, these two are there. So in order to check whether the system is having Java or not, you need to go to this command prompt, and then so it just shows you which Java version it has been installed, right? Hello.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Hello.
yeah. Hello.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So I mean, have you tried to install the Talent in your system, sir? Hello.
yeah, yeah. We did it. I did it. Like I'm currently working on Talend.
Okay. So
Yeah.
I mean, the path and all you need to define, and then
Okay.
say suppose if you just change the directory of that this one, right? You need to again change that particular path as well. And say suppose sometimes you just get a few kind of weird things see, suppose I install everything here, and then I copied this, and then I paste it in somewhere else, right? And again I try to use the Talent jobs and all, it won't open because the class path whatever we defined for this particular one, right, had been changed. So basically it is
What is your
having
name?
the
I didn't
reverse
get your
code.
name.
Hamid.
Hamid.
Yeah. So
So,
whatever we designed
like,
here, right? Yeah, please.
yeah. On you are the one, right? We were discussing about the components that I was asking about, like a Hive and HDFS
Yes,
components.
yes, yes, yes.
So yeah, I was not able to like I didn't get much time, but I was not able to find any VM or something. Have you tried looking for that?
Okay.
I'm just
Uh,
asking you. Have you tried looking for those?
yeah, yeah, I do just check it, but the environment is, I mean, not feasible enough for me. Like, I need to set up that entire things and have to do that stuff. But it was not possible with this 8 GB and 4, 6, and 8 GB. Our system will get hanged with that.
Okay, okay. Just checking out. Okay.
So I mean, the repository creation and all, right? The workspaces and all. See, the
Uh,
workspaces is nothing but where we just store all the information, like the repositories, whatever the jobs we build, right? Everything will be set over here. Under this workspace, we will be having different kind of projects. So even if you create in the Java as well, right? Each one we call it like under the workspace, we call it like the projects. So the workspace could be the single one for these dedicated systems, but you do have different kind of projects. So I just created two projects under here. So these two projects will be shown up when you just open your Talend. Even you can create a new project by just naming here, or else you can import the existing project, whatever it is, from the other system, and or else you can import the demo project which was given by the Talend. The three option you will get here. So here just created one here. So once you create this, right, you just look into here under the workspace, one more project has been added. So if you just open it, so it is having project settings, under which you just simply you just know who is the other and all this blah blah, everything will be available here. So sometimes based on that environment you need to put a settings like the context and all, or else sometimes you need to create the logs, and you need to keep the settings in such a way that it should be applicable throughout that particular project. So on the stuff on the time you can just use this kind of settings, and you can use it, you can configure it at the time of uh, uh, designing your code, so that it will be applicable to throughout that particular project. Suppose the global context variables and all, right? So what will you do is within that particular project for that particular client, those are common. Then on the stuff on that time you can just create uh, you can do the settings, and then in the mention like there you need to log the files independently, whatever the jobs has been run in that particular project, under that project. So when you just open that particular project, right, just I mean, in backend it will just look into the all the jar files and all. So it will take a few minutes to begin that. So which version of Talend you are using, huh? 7.1 or 7.2 version?
No, no. Currently, we're still working with 6.5, I guess.
6.5. Okay.
6.5.2 or something like that.
6.5.1.
Yeah.
Yeah, 6.5.1. The Open Studio or it's a Enterprise
Yeah,
Edition which you're using?
it's enterprise one. I
Enterprise.
work with Wells Fargo, so
Oh, okay. Then it should be banking, right? Yeah.
yeah.
So it should get some 100, then you can show up like you can see all the items here. So here the job designing means what are the jobs we create here will come under this. And here you can create your folders. So different kind of folders you can create. And then as I said, like the context and all right. So you can create the variables here. So these variables you can these variables like if you just create as a group context, so these contexts are applicable to throughout this particular project. So if you just call them, then they can you can call these variables anywhere from within this project. Suppose that particular host is so it is having sort of a project here, and then host is something like this. Then these are you just mentioned like you think like you thought like these are common for this particular environment. So these should be used wherever you want in the project. Then on that time you just create them. So it's 100% no? Create a job here. So once you create, you can write a purpose of that particular project or the description of that particular one, what means to that project. These are just it's up to you whether you need to mention it or not. It's not mandatory field. So under this context, you can create a context variable here. These are the group context we can say. So since within this project, right, again you can see this context. See here, this is system configuration. Whatever we created here, right? These are the group context will be defined, will be visible, but won't be usable here until unless you just use them. The simple is one, either you can add here or else you just simply drag it down. So these are visible here. So in this way you can use this context. And then the routines, it is having the routines as well, which having the system routine, Talend date function, string handling, numerical, and the relational, all these kind of I mean system user provided by the Talend organization. These are the by default routines. So if you want to create, you can even create here your routines. And again, for this SQL and all, here also you will be having some uh, internal SQL server kind of functions and all. And then metadata. Say suppose sometimes what will happen is uh, you will be having a lot of tables in your system as a schema. So every time you can't create, you can't write all the particular schema of the table here. So on that situation, what you will do is you just simply create a DB connections over here. If it is MySQL, Oracle, then what are the, it's only the metadata, which seems like the schema of that particular database you can create here. The connection you just simply define. The DB tab you just mention here. You will be having lot of databases here, MySQL or Oracle, whatever it is. You just need to give here or not the login, username, then password, all the stuff you can mention here, and then you have to do the testing of that particular connection. So MySQL is not available, only Mongo is there in my system. So once you define that connection, that particular schema will be available. From that you can just import the schema of that particular, what are the tables you want, right? The tables will be shown will be available in that particular. Once you retrieve the schema, then it will show up the list of tables contained under that particular schema, so that you can uh, uh, select the available schema, and then you will be having, you do create a delimited file schema. Then once you just go to that particular one, it will just ask you the format, Unix or Windows environment, and then the particular file, CSV file I created. So here you will be having format. Then since it is having the comma separator, just go there, the subsequent, it will ask you for the field separator, that's a comma. Then you can define here the header. If you think the first column would be the header, you can keep here, and the empty rows you can. So here just it is for So first one is the comma here I just mentioned, then uh, preview you can see here. So once you just create that particular schema, right, it will be available in the here. Like, it will ask you for the schema names and all. So you will be having a schema over here, right? So either you can, so under this you will be having all the column list. So it is pretty much useful when you are referring the scheme source again and again within your job. So you will be having some 70 to 80 jobs to do. On that time, what you will do is you can't directly configure one by one. So what will happen once you define the schema here is a simple, pretty straightforward. Like you just drag down on the space. What will happen? It will ask you for the list of components, input, whether it is an input component, output component, all this stuff. Then out of that, just create a delimited component over here. So what will happen if you just look into here, right? The property is repository. Since we created under the repository, right? So that is why it is shows like the repository, and the schema is also the repository. So how many columns are there? All will come into picture. 5 columns will be having. So all those columns metadata will be shown over here. Schema. If you just click on the view schema, so you'll be having all the columns which we created are defined over here. And also it just mention you which what is that particular path of that particular file, and then field separator and their header. And if you having any kind of escape character in that, we do come across escaping a few characters, right, in our. So on that time you just escape those special characters here. So everything whatever we had defined, right, it is defined under that particular metadata itself. So all those are just get used here as well. So if you just wanted to make it like a built-in, you can keep it like a built-in as well, but it won't get changed until unless you just edit it. So suppose it is added one more column over here, then you can try it. Or else you don't want a few columns out of that. Say you don't want the column 3, or you don't want these columns, you thought only 3 columns are there, then you can just define it. Or else you just simply use the repository settings. So just go back to the previous one. So that is what the use of this file delimited and db connections. And then positional xml also you can create schema of that particular xml. If it is a fixed, you thought it's a fixed only, then on those cases you can define a schema here, the file json, and then NoSQL. Basically we create like for MongoDB connections and all, I do create uh, here, since it is a NoSQL. And as you said, like Hadoop
Amit,
cluster
I
and
have a question.
yeah,
What is the difference between metadata and exadata?
metadata.
and Exadata. Exa
Exadata.
or Exa, I'm not sure.
Okay. I mean, where you just came across that particular one?
Like in my project, they keep referring to like a metadata server and Exadata server. I think they're
Maybe
both
they
same, but I'm just
provided like
not
the
sure.
naming, maybe like maybe they use that naming conversion. Maybe I mean I'm not sure.
Okay.
Metadata you just
Uh,
mentioned. Like, metadata. I mean,
Metadata and
it's
also
not like
Exadata or Hexadata. I'm not sure. They call it Exadata or Hexadata. I don't know about the pronunciation.
acha acha Exadata. Okay. But, what
Okay.
will happen like see for
I'll,
example
I'll,
what
yeah.
one UK project bro. What
Okay.
will happen? Just make it like we just name it ETL guys. We'll name it like feed URL from UK. So we just call it like UK feed or some UK feed. So when it
Okay.
comes to them, the Dev team Java developers, they just ask us, can you just provide us Spanish URL? So we just scrubbing our heads and then scratching up through it what just meant for this Spanish and all. Actually, they wanted to like it is having few kind of different kind of languages as well in that particular feed URL. So when you just open that, right, it is having
Mhm.
like English, Spanish, and then
Yeah.
Italian and all this
Yeah.
stuff is there. They wanted to check only whether they can uh, use the Google Translator to translate that Spanish language into the English or not. So
Okay.
they just simply call it like a Spanish URL, Spanish feed URL. They completely change it. So I mean,
Okay.
it's up to them, I guess. Metadata
Okay.
and then
Okay.
another hexa.
Exa or Hexa, I'm not sure. Like EXA or HEXA, I'm not sure.
Okay, okay, we'll check out on that and we'll get you.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
So this is how that metadata will work. So basically, you just use it like when you creating different databases and all right. So you need to work around the. Uh, so every time we can't drag and drop that we can't create connections over here, right? So we do having a lot of columns like 70 or 80 columns we do having. So at that time we can't simply add one by one columns. So simply you just create here particular connection and then directly you can just uh, retrieve that. I mean for the MySQL and all tomorrow I just share that the database and creation and all. How you are creating the databases? Are you going forward with this manner or you are creating how you are creating in your
Actually,
project
we have
connections and all?
metadata server, a separate server. We'll just connect to that and pull what we want.
Okay. So you doesn't create any connections or here to pull the data. You created it.
That's what we'll just create connection to that metadata server.
Okay, okay. You I mean okay, fine.
Like not in project. Yeah, we just here in like in framework. Like while building this Talend program itself, there we'll put a component and directly will give connection to DB, that metadata server.
Acha acha.
I will let you know about the exact
This one,
component tomorrow.
this one.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, DB connections
DB
and all.
connection.
Yeah, I'll
Yeah, that two ways.
let
Yeah,
you know the exact
that
component tomorrow.
yeah. That two ways. Either you just create a connection over here, so that
Yeah,
connection you can see for this DB connection. Say suppose it is a MySQL, then what database you're using now currently? Which
for metadata we are using Oracle,
okay, okay.
and we are writing into HDFS Hive.
Hive and all. Okay, okay. Big data environment totally.
Yeah, big data.
So you can create here, as you said, the connections you can create. That same connection you can just existing connections is there, right? You just use that.
Yeah, we create like that DB
uh,
connection and DB input.
yeah.
I'll,
So
I'll, I'll let you know any exact components tomorrow.
mm, it should be that component in SAP already. So it's already ongoing project.
Yeah, yeah, it is. Yeah.
So the three ways, either you can just create that metadata here, or else uh, if you think like you can build a job within that, then you can create a connection here, and then you can use that particular connection, and you can the schema and all, either you can give your own schema here, or else you can just create from select from that particular repository whatever you created. From that you can just write a retry schema, then you will get it. So even for this Excel also, so all these schema components metadata you can define here simply. As I said, the context also, right? So either you just create the context and all. I mean, whatever you created, like the DB and all, right? Either you can connect, like you can create your DB connections here as well. Database. So you can create here, and then you can give this all these DB connection. Got updated.
Also, we can give like in property file and just have that reference in context variables, right?
Yes, yes. Yeah, three ways we can.
Yeah,
See, this one
yeah.
will be the global. So here, once you just drag down here, right? What will happen? You can't change it, change this particular one until unless you will be having an access. But since it is open studio, you can directly, you can do lock it. So these are just uh, available throughout the jobs, throughout the repository, your project, you can say. Throughout the project, you can use these context variables. Or else, as you said, like at the time of runtimes also, runtime environment also, you can change it. Once you just export this, right? Export this particular job, build the job, and then once you just at the time of building also, you can came up this context scripts. Since we created only single context, right? So only that it is having the default, or else like sometimes you need to pass them to the subsequent, so we will come across that one, the next phase. So once you export that into the zip file, there you will be having the context as well. So there you can just change the context variables value, or else at the time of runtime also you can give your own values. Then you can run that particular job. So as you said, the configuration files, so context will get overridden here. So right side, you will be having the palette, so which is having total talent components. So it is having the list of like what are the components you want. You can type over here, tmap. If you just type the oracle, then since the 7 version onwards, right, with the 6.5 version and all, you doesn't have this db tdb. So what they did is, in spite of creating a separate component like TMySQL, T, Oracle, T, MongoDB, and all. They just created these TDB. So DB itself just mention the different kind of available databases just to handle. So you can create the database here, MySQL, or as I said, it's Oracle. Since I didn't use it in my system, so what will I ask for is external jar. So for your enterprise edition, it does not need to ask any kind of jar files. Since it is an open studio, there it does not carry all the jar files when you install first time. Right? So when you are going to use it for the first time, it will ask for the corresponding jar file. Then you have to just click on that install. Then you have to it will get installed all the modules available. So it will just show the maven url, the jar file location, and the jar file name. Sometimes these jars also won't be available on the time. You just need to download that particular jar files and you need to install in your system. Maybe you didn't face this installation of jars only until unless you just uh, use that open studio. Maybe you face it only in your local system, right? Hello.
Yes, yeah,
Hmm.
yeah. Like it's the project that I'm working is it's already set up. Like everything is set up.
Yes, yes, yeah. Enterprise edition, it won't ask. So for your open studio and all, right? It do ask you for to install jar files and all.
Mm. Yeah, like sometimes if we don't find it in repository, if there is some new version or something, then we will be seeing. Even in enterprise version, we will see this sometimes.
Yes, yes. See, suppose here itself, 18 version will be having jar, but say my Oracle is only 11 version. So this component is just asking the jar file. So again, you need to install. Enterprise what just makes it differ from this open studio is simple like you can share your jobs together within who are working on the same platform. Like you can just use the git comments, right? And also you can schedule the jobs as per your interval, and then it's a bit of faster since we are not running it under this only single platform, right? It is in a different way administration, so we can just configure it. So from that you can directly hit that particular repository and then you can execute the things. So administration point of view, we are going for this enterprise edition. So remaining stuff and all much pretty same for all. So here is kind of like what are the components you just looking for, all you just simply drag and drop, or else you just either you can create there, or else simply you just put your here like you can simply type the component name. As you said, like the settings, right? So it is having the compatible execution environments. You can see here the under the Java, and under the Talend you just click on that. Sometimes what will happen, you need to import your custom components and all. On the time you can, yeah, it's here the components, right? So you came across a few kind of user components. So Talend will provide us some uh, free components based on the logic. For example, you'll be having you need to create a workbook. I mean, the client has provided, or your manager wanted the report to be generated in a specific format. So it is he has provided one Excel sheet. So it is having a three or four particular sheets, and each sheet's having some few sort of columns, say 6 and 7 columns, and then the 3 columns says some example how many orders are there. But day wise you need to collect the data, and then you need to push into one sheet one, and then week wise information you need to put in the sheet two, and then the total summary information you need to keep it in the third sheet. And then on those kind of scenarios where you want only this particular format, then you can simply you can download one talent components from the talent exchange component exchange website. So you will be having a list of these components who are defined, even you can create your own component based on your business logic, and then you just keep it there. So whoever wants that, they can just download it and then they can use here. So that sort of situations you can keep on a folder where you can have that particular components, so you can import that and you can use it. So for that situation you can use here this component directly, and then you can browse over there. This is for running and debugging. For debugging and I mean, what are the preferences you want to show up here, you can just select them. I mean, remaining things are not much useful, the Java browser and Java hierarchy and all these are not much required. You can keep it as simple. So if you configure like a BI server, then you can configure your system on here, Magic BI. So environment variables and eh, uh, these are that, the RAM memory. You just keep it totally. If you just change here, right, it will be get transferred to entire jobs whatever you design. So for suppose this is my job here. I just set up here. The max is 1 MB, 1 GB is there. So minimum to 56 MB. So you need to just click on that. You have to change it. so it will take max of 4 GB. And these RAM things and all, it's based on your you do check once your system or a server RAM availability. Based on that, you can just check on that. Since if suppose you will be having only 5 to 6 GB available, since my system is having 8 GB, so I can use up to 6 or 7 GB, 8 GB max, 5 to 6 GB something. So say suppose your data is used, and then on the time what will happen, you will get a memory kind of heap space memory issues if you doesn't allocate much more RAM size. On that time you need to look into different kind of optimization techniques, whether you just need to reduce the number of components you use it, or else you can just give it more number of commit intervals, and then or else you can just save that particular data into the temporary location, so that from that it would be like without using much more RAM capabilities, it can just the ETL job can run through that particular temporary memory, can take use of temporary memory. So those kind of stuff will come into picture in the next subsequent things. Then if you have some sort of settings you want to do, then you just simply click on the component. So here you will be having three kind of first thing is like the job when it was created, and then so we will be having multi-thread option. So if you want to improve the performance of that particular job, you can go with this. And then you can store the logs here. Since if you use the project settings, whatever the settings we did here, right, those will be applicable here by default. So if you want to use it like particular, like only for this particular then particular job, then you can just uncheck that and then use the stats catcher based on that components we use it here. If you want to capture the logs and all, for log capturing and all, are you using any capture components, log capture?
For logs, we are just having Java components. We're just using Java component and printing it
Okay,
out.
under that you just mentioned that IO dot stream or something, then you are giving the file or what? How you are
No,
capturing the?
we have a log file for the whole job run, and while job is running, we'll just system.print just will print out in a Java from a Java component.
Oh, okay, okay. Yeah, that makes sense actually. That you just use the stat catcher, log catcher for catching all the runtime errors and all, right? You can use these catcher
I
techniques.
think they are using some Log4j or something, so they'll just using the not even Log4j, like whatever we want to print,
Yeah,
they'll
here
just
it is.
print out with system.printout.
Yeah, print stream dot io
No,
dot
they
like
use a T Java component. Just
under that you maybe they are using
yeah, like yes, yeah, system.print.
print stream or something is there. IO dot, right?
Let me check that. I'll check and I'll let you know
Yeah,
tomorrow.
IO dot print stream something is
As
there.
far as I remember, it's just system.out.println
Mm.
and they're just
And then
printing it
you
out.
can just mention either the path, you can either even redirect it to the particular path, or else you just use it, or else the something like total whatever the jobs you created, right, at the time of scheduling, you can just append it to some uh, file component something. In spite of like using those totally printing, that what will do is like it will consume bit of a RAM, right, system RAM. So sometimes we do use it that particular, as you said, print stream. So whatever it is running in the backend, everything will be printed over that particular console. So from that console it just redirect to the file, or else you just use uh, these kind of components. So stats capture and all, either you just at the time of runtime also you just create this log file. The default it is a file path provided metadata something, then you can give your own file here, the file name, and then the folder you can mention the file. So what will happen once the statistics of that particular job, right, it will be loaded into this particular file, or else you can load it into some database. So you can give your database, so that what are the statistics of that particular job, right, it will be get captured over there. So these are the components and all. So based on that you can create your own mappings, lt components, database. So this is totally overview of this talent. Any questions you will be having from your end? You know, like how to build a job, right?
Yeah.
So mostly when you just wanted to check out your job logic and all, right, mostly I want you to prefer a T-log component. What we'll do is just uh, simply give you the debugging concept here. So whatever you expected here, right, after mapping, after providing the transformation logics and all, you just use the T-log component, because before loading it to that target system or target file or whatever it is. So before that, for debugging concept, debugging point of view, you just remove the target and then just replace it with T-log row, so that you can know what exactly it is passing to the target system, or else from that either you can just pass it to other component, the output component. So in this way, what will you do is you can simply see what are the sources you will be having, and does it like any manipulation is there in the source, in the transformation after applying the transformation logic. All those things you can look into that. Let's say like the context and all, right. As of now, you have only single, so you can uh, create one more context repository here. So where you can, so these are the things. So this stuff you can change over here until unless you create the one, you can't replicate it. So different environments you can. So suppose at the time of export you want only this UAT environment, you just create that UAT, and then you can export this job. So it will ask for that context variables again. Either you can create you just keep the default and then you can override it later on, or else you just have to go with the existing one. Yeah, any doubts you'll be having? As of now, we just gone through only the overview of all the basic things. That, do you have anything like any questions or something? Hello?
I have no questions.
Yeah, no question.
No.
Okay.
Question.
Uh, can you just, from tomorrow onwards?
Just one question. What is that tick box which is there on the? Is it hardwood? Yeah, down. No, in the context. Yeah,
This one? This one?
yeah. If you go to that context sample job, that
Yeah, you okay, okay.
where
This
you have
one.
given the parameters, correct? Default
Yes.
means if we
Yeah,
put the
yeah.
tick mark over there, the check box. Are you able to see the check box over there? Yeah, in that line under
Hmm.
the default.
Hmm. This one.
Yeah, there is a
The
checkbox
value.
just adjacent to it.
Okay,
What
yeah,
is
yeah.
that?
Yes, yes, I got it. This one, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it is something like a prompt. Prompt is nothing but like when you are running
Uh,
something, right? You want like the system to be get prompt you whether it is correct or not. Say suppose
oh,
when I run this, so it will prompt me for to enter. It just prompt me whether the
okay.
host is correct or not. So I just run it like we just use it like kind of scenarios like when you are going to run the same job for the multiple clients, right? But the client ID or employee that particular client number something will be default, but
Yeah, yeah, I
remaining
got it.
dollar same. Yeah, on that time you just use here that particular one. The inbuilt is 2, right? Just make it for something. Then so whatever the value, whatever we pass it, right? That only will get applicable there. So this one will be the same. It won't change. But at the time of runtime only, we are changing that value.
Okay.
See, again, it came the same value. So
Yeah,
this value get changed. Or else, if you want to look into that particular value, right? Just use a simple Java component. You just print that. So in order to call that particular one, right? You just use a context dot. It's a host, right?
yeah,
Say the two. I will keep it as a two. So it is two. So again, I just run it. So here,
yeah.
got it, right?
Got
Yeah. Even if you go there, it's the same.
it. Okay.
Yeah. Anything else? Hello.
Yeah, got it.
Yeah. So that's it for the day. So from tomorrow, just look into the different components and all.
Sure.
Okay. Shall we close the session for the day?
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah. Thanks. Yeah. Thanks for.